I thought there was 2 veteran organizations in the world. There's probably 80 in Seattle, my backyard in Seattle right now, that I had no idea about. First thing that you see on the drive home from the airport is homeless camps underneath the freeway coming from SeaTac Airport to Seattle.
Welcome to Veteran Voices SITREP with your hosts, Tom and Chris Faust.
Welcome to Veteran Voices. I am Tom Faust, and I'm here with my son Chris and co-host. And today we have part 2 in a little short series with Corey Robichaud. And today, this time, well, let me back up. Last time we talked about his involvement with Telemynd and how they work with veterans as a referral service to get veterans the help they need, especially mental health. And today we want to talk a little bit differently about how Corey got into helping veterans, and if there's anyone out there who feels like they really have a calling to help veterans, what you can do and how you can go about getting started. So we can start with Corey, like what inspired you to start working directly with veterans? And, is there a specific moment or experience that motivated you?
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit with kind of my story of getting out of the military. I just got re-enlistment orders to Meridian, Mississippi. So if that doesn't scream help, that kind of will change your mind about a lot of things. But I just got orders. I met the love of my life 2 years before this, or 1 year before that moment, and her mom passed away in Seattle, Washington. So never thought I would be in Seattle in my life because, one, I'm a 49er fan, so that was just recipe for disaster living in Seahawk country. And I was like, you know what, she was like, because we had planned to move to Mississippi together, and she's like, I can't move with you. I have a 15-year-old brother. I'm a guardian of now. I can't move with him. I was like, no, you're worth it. Cancel my orders. I'm getting out to move to Seattle. What am I going to do? I just got out of the military, and not even 10 days ago. What am I going to? I don't have a degree. I'm almost done with my bachelor's degree in education, but I can't be a teacher right now. Like, what am I going to do? First thing that you see on the drive home from the airport is homeless camps underneath the freeway coming from SeaTac Airport to Seattle. And that's the first thing you see, more than the skyline. And that's the first thing that caught my eye. And that was the kind of like the epiphany, the light bulb in my head of like, how can I help those guys? My mom taught me how to really take care of people in the world, but I didn't know that they were really setting me up for taking care of veterans in the world or military members in the world, because I didn't know I was going to the military until I was 22, 23. And it's funny because I thought my calling was to take care of kids. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to coach kids. I wanted to make sure the new generation was great instead of really taking care of the old generation that needs help. We're seeing the American flags flying underneath the overpass, continuously driving for 30 more miles and continuously seeing that on the side of the interstate. Really just breaks you down, to be honest. And I'm like, what can I do? What can I do with no degree? What can I do with the fear that I have of being a provider for my family now and taking care of a 15-year-old kid, as well as helping out? And now we have a daughter that came 8 months later, or the pregnancy test came 8 months later. Everything that you can think of, and especially somebody that's already getting a therapist, mental health help. I'm a veteran now. I almost have a degree. I'm in a different state. I don't have a job. What can I do? So what I did, I just went to Indeed and I typed in military. I typed in veteran. I typed in anything because I knew thankfully from the mentorship and the leadership that I had in the military, and a lot of people don't have that. There's a lack of mentorship and leadership in the military in regards to helping you get out, because like, hey, let's just turn and burn. We got new people coming in, turn and burn, get you out of here. And that's a big stigma too. And if there's one piece of advice that I would give to somebody is type in veteran, type in military on Indeed, and those things will pop up. A lot of people really care about you, a service member, rather than somebody that went to a 4-year college these days. They know that you guys are going through a lot more. They know that you have the discipline. They know that you have the listening skills, the learning skills to learn fast, and you're saving lives out there, whether you have a medic job or whether you have an artillery job. You're still doing something to save lives, and that they look for that. And I didn't have the experience to become a military community manager as in the civilian world, but there are so many people out there that, no, we don't care that you have this fancy Duke degree. Like they do care about that stuff in the medical field, but if you're just trying to find a job and trying to make ends meet or even thrive for your family, there are jobs out there that they really care. You just need to, apply. You just need to do it. Take that first step. And if you need help, there are people out there, there's resources out there like Operation Military Family that can help you as well find that job.
Obviously, since you've been with Telemynd for a year, are you pursuing any sort of like formal training or certifications or education to, better equip yourself for the work that you're doing?
So I'm actually in school. I'm finishing up my school because I still think that there's a calling for me for the next generation as well. So I am currently at Grand Canyon University, which is a very military-centric university. So if you have military benefits, they work really great with you to get you to finish your degree as well. A lot of programs and a lot speedier times to do that because they take your joint service transcript. So I think I had like 22 credits from just my A school and military. Like a lot of colleges won't accept that, and it's a degree at the end of the day. That's on your resume, and that will build your relationship for your next employer. So that's what I'm working on right now for myself and my family is finishing my degree and then working towards my master's with my post 9/11 GI Bill.
As you were getting started with that, were there any mentors or any, did they provide any mentor to help you guide you through the journey of getting started?
GCU did. Military did no.
Yeah.
So I actually met GCU is one of the providers out here or colleges out here that show up at also veteran resource fairs and other resource fairs here in the Tacoma area and Seattle area. And I met one guy and he took I have his cell phone number. He calls me after dinner and like, hey man, like what do you need for me to help you get your joint service transcript switched over? What do you need from me to get your associate's degree transcript from Arkansas? I'm like, oh, I can do it. No, I don't want you to do it. What can I do to help you? And that was music to my ears. I'm like, I've never heard that from anybody. And hearing that, and just like I said before, like last episode, it just helps you take that first step, and it's easier to take the steps after that. Because the biggest fear in my life is the fear of the unknown. And when something is known, it really just takes the weight off your shoulder. Okay, I can do this. It's not that scary. It's not that bad. Even though sometimes it can be, and that's okay because the next day it was yesterday. So what can you do today and really benefit and better your life and better your family's life for sure.
So what, and we might be touching back on something that we had talked about a little bit ago, but, kind of what challenges did you face when transitioning to the, line of work? How did you overcome these?
Yeah. So I didn't type in military or veteran on Indeed instantly. I was a chicken with my head cut off. I was crying in my pillow every night. I was hugging my girl, saying like, what can I do? Like, how can I help you with no salary right now? Like, how can I help you? And like, I see all these people on the streets. Is that going to be me one day? So all these fears are just flooding in. You're on Indeed. You're just apply. Not even reading the description. You're just hitting apply just so that you can somewhat scramble out a job and hopefully make some money in the future. And then I talked to my dad and my grandfather are both previous military as well. And this is, thankfully I have a dad that kind of understood as well what was going on. And he was like, this is what you need to do. If you can't do it, you have support here. Thankfully, I have support. A lot of people still don't have support in the world, and this is for those people like that. And typing in that military or veteran and Indeed, it just really just in your area, it really helped. It really helped me. Like I was like, man, Telemynd, and it was just like bright letters, like Telemynd, and I applied. And the concerning thing was I didn't hear anything for 2 months. And so I ended up working at a consignment shop. I walked in and said, hey, I'm previously military. Oh, cool. I need somebody with leadership like that. You can start tomorrow. Okay. So that was a little bit of weight off my shoulder, but it wasn't the job that I wanted, but it was a job that paid the bills. And 2 months later, Telemynd called and said, we want you and your experience. Thank you for your service. And it's like, okay. And they provide on-the-job training. They provided all the things I needed to know because it's kind of salesy. Even though everybody has this negative aspect of car salesmen and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to connect with people because I know how I view them, and I don't want people viewing me like that because that's not my job. I'll tell everybody not to use this if it means that people look at me like that. So that was I connect people. If I see you wearing a Seahawks shirt, I'm going to talk to you about the Seahawks before I talk to you about my job. Like you as a human being matters more to me than you using my service. Our service means a lot more than we think it does. Whether when we got out, it didn't seem like that. Like they just used me for 7 years and tossed me aside. Our service means something. Whether you went to war or not, whether you're on a ship or not, whether you were medically incapable of doing something for the last 5 years, your service means something. You took a stand, you took an oath to do something, and you are rewarded for it, and you need to go get those rewards because they're out there waiting for you.
And then a quick follow-up, too, is were there any sort of misconceptions or surprises about working with veterans that you didn't expect when you were starting out?
In my job, no. I knew the need of mental health help, especially in veterans, was a big issue. It's the fact that I couldn't help them all, and I have that complex bad about if I can help one, I can help them all, and it really, it's kind of doctor in a mercy room. You can't save every patient, and it's like I need to save every patient. That's such a big thing. So when it comes to the Medicaid thing about helping the veterans with Medicaid, that we don't take Medicaid yet, that really struck me for a couple months of what am I doing? Like, how can I do it? Like, I feel helpless. I feel like I can't help these people. But then reality set in, like, okay, we will be able to one day for sure. And I just have to wait for that day and do everything I can to help every single veteran that I can help right now until I get there.
What lessons do you think you've learned from working directly with veterans that might benefit others who want to do the same thing?
To know that there's a lot more than we know. There's so much more that we don't know about. So take the time and really dig deep in your community and learn about all the veteran organizations that you are. I thought there was 2 veteran organizations in the world, and there's probably 80 in Seattle, my backyard in Seattle right now, that I had no idea about. So if you think that you know a lot about veterans, you don't. And you need to take the time to really dig deep in your backyard and if you want to give back to your community, start with the veterans because there's a lot more than we think there are, and we can help them in a lot of ways.
Okay. So, you kind of touched where, there's, you didn't really have many, surprises when you went into it. So, for what you do, can you kind of walk us through, it doesn't have to be like super detailed, but walk us through kind of what a typical day looks like as someone in your position.
Yeah. So what I do is I log on, I greet all of my TRICARE representatives every day on, via email or phone call. Again, 9 states is hard to cover in person in a day. And then I like to dedicate 2 days a week to going out in person and going as low as, Vancouver, Washington, or north of Spokane, and really just, trying to mingle with, I'll get on LinkedIn more than anything. I join every veteran group I can on LinkedIn and talk to their presidents or founders and say, hey, do you guys have a meetup this week? And they send me their calendars. So I just look at my calendar, their calendar, and I meet up with them and try to meet new veterans every day or every week. and as well as, I look for sponsorships over the next 6 months on the military bases, and then do some events on the military bases as well.
And how would you measure the impact of your work, like specific moments or stories that stand out as particularly rewarding for you?
So this one actually happened 3 weeks ago. I had a CO, a commanding officer of an entire military base, message me personally and say, my son has been needing help for a month and he hasn't gotten any word back from anybody. Can you help me? And so obviously that thing in my head, like, I can help this person. And I said, I'll have your son a provider by lunch. And I called everybody I knew. I talked to everybody. I made our amazing team reached out to their providers in their states and said, who can handle one more case? Just one more case. Because if there was 5 more referrals, then we would have had another provider come on so that we can do it. And I had that son an appointment by lunch, and I got the call that you get from a commanding officer, but not only him as a human being, because they're all humans behind their stars and stripes. And like, hey, I really appreciate you helping my son. You have no idea how much that really helped me. And you can just hear the authenticity in his voice. That just made it go a million miles a minute for me. I mean, there's countless of stories like that, and that's just the latest one. And I'm like, and it feels like it's the first one every single time that I was able to help not only a kid but another person, knowing that they're getting help right now and I can sleep at night.
So, kind of like advice for others who might want to be, who might be interested in helping veterans. Are there any like specific skills or qualities that you think would be essential for someone who wants to work in the field?
Yeah, empathy is probably the biggest one. Empathy and communication. I wasn't a big communicator. I took oral comm once, and I'm pretty sure that's the last time that I spoke in front of anybody. But it takes a lot of courage to talk to somebody. And I think that's the number one fear in America over dying is, public speaking. Just talking to one veteran, then talking to 2 veterans at a time, then, working your way up to talking to a big group or going to a meet and greet and then, speaking. If you're passionate about something, it's going to come easy to you. That fear will go away. I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about the mental health field, so it came easy for me. And you can stutter, you can say a million times, and that's okay. You're just take the courage to talk to somebody, and if you help one person, you did it. You can say sign language all you want. It really is about helping somebody else, and then being empathetic to them. Like, hey, like, I know what you're going through. It is hard. How can I help? Really, don't just be like, how can I help you now? Like, how can I help? What can I do? Like, it really goes a long way to be empathy, and it is a skill to be empathetic in my eyes, and a lot of people are not. They care about the paycheck. They care about their image, but I would do this if without a paycheck. I would make sure that I'm serving, homeless people food without a paycheck. I would make sure that they are getting the help they deserve, for sure.
So what resources, like organizations, books, training programs, anything like that, do you have anything that you would recommend to people looking to support veterans?
Yeah, absolutely. The one book that really helped me is a Dale Carnegie book, and it's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't really know if you can see that. It really opened my eyes to how to communicate with people, how to, learn lessons and like basic principles of just being a human being in life, and like winning people over with your personality so that they can connect to you. The principle one is become genuinely interested in other people. And that goes back to the empathetic part. Like, if you're genuinely, like, I don't care that you know anything about me. I don't care that you know that I drive so-and-so, or my favorite baseball team is the Giants. What are you, how are you? Like, what are you doing? How can I help you? And that goes a long way. Again, that's just principle one. There's, 20 principles in here that are almost the same, that can really help a lot of people. And then the Operation Military Family is a huge resource out there for especially transitioning military members and their families to really get you on an actual structural path to help you with finances and jobs leaving the military.
So I guess in your opinion, what are what are some of the biggest gaps in veteran support today? Like how can folks help fill those gaps?
The biggest gaps that, in my opinion, is the lack of knowledge of resources and the lack of knowledge or the lack of help getting out of the military and setting yourself up for success. And I think to overcome those gaps, one, as an active duty member, we as resources need to be better at raising awareness, but the command level needs to be better at also expressing those resources as well. And then when you have TAPS class, I think sometimes you can take TAPS class online now, which obviously some people just click through and then hit congratulations, you've completed. Make it mandatory that you have to be there in person 24/7 to really learn about the resources, and then have more resources at the TAPS class, because it's a week-long TAPS class. And this is just my opinion, my personal history. There's probably a lot of bases that do this. Transitioning, learning those resources will come in handy, like Operation Military Family and stuff like that. And like, hey, like there are resources out there that can help you transition and get a job instead of like, thank you for your time, and you shut the door behind you and never talk to you again. Just know that there are a million resources out there. What's one Google away from veteran resources in my area, or veteran resources for jobs or something like that. And there's a lot out there, and I'm sorry that people didn't tell you about it, but there are a lot of people that want to help you.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who feels, the passion to go help people, but don't know where to start?
The first thing I would say is if you're passionate about helping a veteran, look up, I would say, Veteran Club. Go to your nearest vet center, and say, hey, what resource or what club events or what events do you have coming up that I can help out with? Because the vet centers they're kind of intricately connected to a lot of events in town through their web of network. And then, like I said, and then once you meet one, you meet five, and once you meet five, you meet 20. And it's going to be like a snowball effect after that, and you're going to be able to help a lot of veterans just go into one location.
So, kind of looking ahead, how do you see your role evolving in the future? Like, are there any new initiatives or goals that you'd like to pursue in supporting veterans?
Yeah. So what my job is, the military community manager, is we are now starting the a more strongly veteran initiative. Now that we got a part of we went to a veteran conference last year, and like, okay, now we're part of the directory, which is huge to get into the VA directory. So now that we can dip our toe in the water a little bit more and kind of push more veteran initiatives. So starting February 2025, so a couple weeks ago, we actually started stepping foot in the VAs to like give them, because the population in general, military spouses, especially without referrals needed, was our biggest referral clientele. And like, how can it not be? You don't have to go through PCM. You don't have to worry about anything else. You're going to be seen in less than 2 weeks. Easy. So that was kind of our big push. And now it's like, okay, we got this contract. We're in the directory. What can we do to put the foot on the gas for the veterans now? Because we were all doing stuff for the veterans. We were around the community. We're at the breweries and coffee houses to helping. But now it's really pushed the gas on the top down. So now that's our initiative starting now. And that's why I'll be at 9 VAs in the next 4 days across 2 states, being in person with flyers and saying, how can I help take the load off your bulk of referrals that you're in the backlog right now? So that's our initiative right now.
If somebody's listening and they're on the fence about getting involved in supporting veterans, what would you say to encourage them to take that step?
If you're thinking about the courage that you are having to talk to that veteran, imagine the courage that is taking them to, like, imagine what they're going through. Like, it can't be worse than just you saying, how can I help you? So when you just got to put it in perspective a little bit, saying, I'm sitting here on my couch in my AC with my TV in front of me thinking, how can I help this veteran? Or I'm scared, how can I start? They're in a tent somewhere, scrounging for food somewhere. So, once you got a little perspective in it, okay, I'm going to get off this couch right now and I'm going to go to the nearest vet center. I'm going to get on Facebook. I'm going to type in the nearest vet community thing. I want to talk. It's easier to talk to somebody that's kind of like in a positional level. So if you go talk to somebody like that's a president of a veteran group or of association or something like that, hey, how can I help veterans in your community? And they will just give you the answer, like, hey, come here on Wednesday night from 5 to 7 and you can do this. Okay, that's instruction. I can follow instruction more than I can, go to a veteran camp and say, how can I help you guys? So I would just go type in your nearest veteran organization, talk to a president or a manager and say, how can I help your veterans in your community first? And then just go from there.
Definitely some good advice there. And it goes to people that like to be told, things to do, to give them a direction to go. Because for a lot of people, I might say, you can do this, and then, oh, well, you might be able to try these things here. It's like, well, okay, that's great. But, sometimes you just kind of need a little kick to be like, oh, I've got this and this and this that you can do. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go right into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and people in the military or from the military, veterans, are used to following orders. They understand how, the chain of command. They understand these things need to be done. I'm the one asked to do it. This is what I do.
Absolutely. And that was a big thing for me. It took me over a year to finally let go of that, just that part of me. And there's management above me, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? He's like, you're a self-sufficient manager now. Like, you don't have to, you're doing a good job. You don't have to wait for me to tell you direction. Okay, I did that. What do you want me to do now? And it's like, it's really hard. And so when you have that there, and it's all instinctively inside of me, because if you guys say, hey, Corey, I need you to do this, I'll, yes, sir, and like stand up at attention and do it for you guys. And so I think, the people that just got out of the military and that still want to help veterans, it's in there. It's still in there for sure. And you can't get that away. It's ingrained in your DNA since boot camp. And so just, hey, this is how you can help. Okay, that's how I can help, and I'll do it.
Yep, sometimes a little nudge is all you need.
Absolutely.
So I guess, over the, conversations that we had, is there anything else about your journey into the work that, we might not have covered that you think is important for people to hear?
I think you kind of nailed it on the head with your last sentence, that it just takes a little nudge. And I think that's all I needed because when you're spiraling, you're spiraling, whether you're a mental health patient as a civilian or a mental health patient in the military. A spiral is a spiral for a reason, and you just need that one little nudge to kind of push you back in the right direction. And it's not over that day. And it's over that day. It's not over for the rest of your life. And you have the tools and the power in yourself as an individual. You don't need help from everybody else. Help is great, but you do have the power inside you to start going the right way. And, that nudge in the right direction will help you. And that's what it did for me. And that's why I'm, thriving and happy with my family. I have a daughter now, and I couldn't imagine this life without her if I didn't have the nudges that I had out of the military into the job that I have now.
Okay, well, it's been great talking with you again about this. We appreciate you being here as usual, and thank you for that. And I think on that, we probably will wrap things up for today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone, thank you very much for taking the time listening. Spread the word. Get this out there. We just want people to know these things. So like, subscribe. So when there's another podcast up that you can watch and help people out. But thank you for listening. Thank you, Corey, for taking the time out to talk with us about these things that are very important for people to know. And we just hope that the word gets out there and it helps somebody, just anybody out there. As long as it helps one person, we're doing good there, because that's how the snowball starts to go roll down the hill.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys too. And again, spreading the awareness from your platform as well. So if anybody is listening, please do what he says. I don't know where the buttons are, bottom or top, but please like, subscribe, and follow for you guys.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. On that note, we will catch you next time.
All right.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.